Tomato farming continues to attract thousands of farmers across Uganda because of its high demand, relatively short maturity period, and strong market potential. But behind that promise of profit lies one of the sector's biggest challenges: pest management. It's a good thing we have Bukola Chemical Industries on our side, because trust them to have the solutions. Welcome to a brand new episode of NTV Seeds of Gold, and I am your ever humble host, Sheila Navafu, and we are proudly sponsored by Bukola Chemical Industries Limited. Let's get this show on the board.
It's a nocturnal by nature. It's active at night, and before 6:30 a.m. in the morning and after 6 p.m. in the evening. That's when it's most active.
Farmers today are battling a growing number of destructive pests and diseases, none more feared than the tuta absoluta, commonly known as the tomato leaf miner. The pest reproduces rapidly, attacks leaves, stems, and fruits, and under severe infestation can destroy an entire tomato harvest. Experts say that the situation is becoming even more complicated as the pest grows increasingly difficult to control using conventional spraying methods alone. It's always Bukola coming up with the ideas to make sure that you have that bountiful harvest. That is why they are number one in the East African and arguably the African region. Now, we are launching something exceptional today, and who better to have by our side explain it even better than the manager, marketing and business development, Roy. It is nice to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Finally meet you. It's a pleasure. Now, you guys are always cooking up something to save us, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now, this time you are doing it for the tomato guys.
Yeah,
You
true.
have something new in the market to help them. Now, why were you compelled to come up with this, and what's the whole point? What has this got to do with the bountiful harvest?
Well, in order to have a bountiful harvest, it's got to have market. So it doesn't make sense if you have 2 tons of tomatoes and only able to take 200 kilos to market. And that's the main reason why we're here today, because the pest that we are going to be discussing today is one that denies a farmer the opportunity to have enough to take to market. Exactly.
Now, we are putting a lot of emphasis on the leaf miner. In my terms, in your terms, you call it the
tuta absoluta.
Yeah. The tuta absoluta.
Yes.
So it is a big problem when it comes to tomatoes.
Yes.
And from what I have researched, it can actually eliminate an entire yield.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just where we started from, the impact it has on the fruits themselves. So a lot of pests that attack the leaves, if you're targeting the fruits, it's going to affect you in terms of the number of fruits you're going to get and perhaps the weight of those fruits. The issue here is it just doesn't destroy the leaves. After destroying the leaves, it moves to the fruits, and then it bores into those fruits, puts holes in them, and no one is going to want a damaged fruit, because if the trader takes it on shelf, it will not last 3 days. So the genetic shelf period of majority of tomato varieties is 21 days after harvest, but this pest will shorten that to a mere 2 to 3 days, and it's already rotting. And that means the trader is not going to buy that produce.
Of course.
And as a farmer, you're going to be left with all this material that you have invested in terms of, you've invested in all this material in terms of finances, in terms of your labor, in terms of your time, and then you have a yield. When you look in a field like this one from a distance, you can see that you have many tomatoes. But if you have tuta absoluta, this tomato leaf miner, when you reach harvesting, if you would have gotten 10 boxes of yield, you're going to probably have 2 marketable boxes, and you've just lost 80% of your yield. And this is disastrous, just for the farmer and also the ordinary Ugandan at large, really.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, say I want to get into tomatoes, and I'm now worried about this Titus absoluta. What are some of the agronomic practices that I must, incorporate into my farm? What are the do's and the don'ts from the moment I acquire my land to the moment I harvest?
Well, that is a very brilliant question. And it's really a broad one. And why I would say we need to first understand this pest and to understand where it comes from, to get a good feel of how it behaves, because then if we understand some of these behaviors it exhibits, then we can start to identify its weaknesses and also acknowledge its strengths.
True.
But then, how do we then turn its strengths into an indirect weakness that then allows us to effectively choose the right agronomic practices that are going to help us manage the pest? And why I'm selectively using the word manage the pest is that the expectation around many farmers, particularly farmers who are doing crop, who are growing crops, is that they have a similar expectation for animals. So, when you have an animal and it's sick, you're going to get a vet doctor, he's going to come in, inject your animal, do his magic, and it heals. It will heal like it has never fallen sick. Plants don't heal.
Yeah.
And the wounds that they hold will stay forever till the end of its life. But coming back down to the life cycle and how this pest behaves. First, this pest originated in Chile. So that is in South America. That's where it was first discovered to antagonize the tomatoes over there. And it moved from Chile, evaded Spain. Back then, people who did history, there was a lot of trade between South America and Europe. And then through Spain, it enters Africa through North Africa. And then it enters Uganda, estimated around 2014. So it's a relatively new pest in Uganda. This pest coming into Uganda with its origin as Chile, South America, it does not have natural enemies per se in our environment.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, our tropical environment in Uganda, it's warm, it's moist.
Yeah.
It has favored this pest, this tomato leaf miner, to multiply much more faster. Now, a person may ask, how did the pest cross the ocean? Cross from Spain into Africa, move from Tunisia, North Africa, into Uganda? How did it get there? So one of the ways that it has mostly been spread is through trade.
Yeah.
Trade is an enabler of this pest because, as I said earlier, it burrows into the fruits, but it's the fruits that you have to sell.
Of course.
So when you sell fruits in which are embedded by this pest, the tomato leaf miner, and these fruits are transported over long distances. That's one of the ways that this pest has managed to traverse the continent. But the second factor is down to its biology as a pest. So the adult moth has a wingspan that is close to 3 times its body weight. And that means it has a lot of energy in terms of flight energy. And it has been studied that it can travel between 1 to 2 kilometers in a single night. And that is, it's only using its wings to travel. Assuming there is no wind, limited wind support, it's moving 1 to 2 kilometers per night. With wind, it moves even further.
Yeah.
Now, over the past years, it is estimated to be traveling and conquering, I would say conquering, 800 kilometers per year. So at that pace, it can traverse a whole country in 2 years.
Yeah.
A country the size of Uganda in 2 years, and it's really covered. So it is a big issue, mainly because of how fast it spreads and how easily our human trade is facilitating its ability to conquer. Furthermore, when we come to look at its reproductive rate, we say that we are in the tropical environment of Uganda. It's warm, it's moist. A female is laying around 260 eggs each time, each round. And those eggs are taking between 24 to 38 days to become a new moth that is now ready to lay new eggs. So at that pace, you have about 10 to 12 generations within a year. Now, if you're having that pace of regeneration, it's why farmers are complaining about the pesticides. Because the farmer will come and apply a pesticide, it works this single one time and is like, aha, I got it. This is the solution. And then, because the pest is multiplying at a very rapid pace, literally every month is a whole new generation. The rate of evolution and resistance development towards the pesticide is very high. And this is why we need to look into integrated pest management as a tool rather than trying to identify a single solution to finish the whole problem. And that's why we are here today, to try and enlighten the farmer and our listeners today at the significance of this pest and how it can be controlled. Now, having known part of the rate of reproduction, that tells us at what interval should we make treatments in our garden. Because if you have an enemy who is reproducing every month, you should figure out how to distort that cycle. That is the first point. And earlier I also said that it loves to travel at night. It's a nocturnal by nature. It's active at night. So taking advantage of that, it tells you what periods of time you should make treatment. You see how it's all connecting? And then you come back to ask yourself, where does it lay these eggs? So when it attacks, where does it prefer? Because where it prefers will tell you which part you should target most when you're doing the treatment. So when they attack, the moths of the tomato leaf miner, they love to lay eggs in these younger leaves on top. These younger leaves. And why they like that is because the leaves are still tender. The eggs hatch within 2 to 3 days. So by positioning the eggs on those younger leaves, the larvae penetrate easily without much resistance. And why that is very significant for the pest is that the larvae need to burrow into the leaf and enter the inner layer, that green color that you see. In our agronomy language, we call it the mesophyll layer. So the mesophyll layer is that green color you see. It's the layer in the leaf that hosts the cells that hold chlorophyll. I know I'm taking some of our listeners back to P4, P5-ish, but recently I was talking to a farmer and he told me, I learned science in primary, what is it benefiting me? Well, it benefits you. So basically, it eats that layer inside the leaf. Now, by eating that green portion of the leaf, remember that green color is the one that transforms the sunlight into food, sugars, which then those sugars are transported into the fruits that you'll eventually harvest. Now, if that green color has been eliminated, it means that plant is no longer manufacturing sugars. And sugars, basically like humans, we need food. And those sugars are the ones which are going to be stored in the fruit. They are the ones the plant is going to rely on for flowering and basically all its physiological activities that will help that plant to grow well, look nice, and give you very good yield. So this pest is targeting a very critical part of the tomato plant. Now, when it lays the eggs on these young leaves, they are going to penetrate inside. Now that becomes a strength to the pest. Because if you come with the ordinary high toxicity, and farmers have this mentality of saying, njagala konk, I need it konk. So you can get it. I want konk, ntabula konk. You see, when you come with those konk, pesticides that you believe that will work, many of them are operating as a contact. So that means there has to be direct contact between the pesticide and the pest. But here is a problem, a critical problem, that the pest is under the leaf, inside the leaf. So when you do your contact insecticide, it is stopping on top of the leaf. Now you're going to increase the dosage where you're harming our soil, you're harming our environment, you're increasing the dosages unnecessarily.
Harming our plants.
Yes, exactly. You could even harm the plant itself through these increased dosages. But then the pest is protected.
Yeah.
It has no problem. It's safe. So the purpose of Bukola doing this intense research is to identify some of these weaknesses. And we ask ourselves critical questions that, okay, after understanding these weaknesses, how can we take advantage of these weaknesses to come up with potential solutions that can help the farmer? Now, that brings me to the point of the agronomic practices. Yeah, someone can say that we are coming to Masaka, we passed through Gulu.
What?
But it's important. It's very important.
And we will get to Masaka eventually. We are going to take a very short commercial break. Do not forget that we are proudly brought to you by Bukola Chemical Industries Limited and our guests of the day. So you can imagine we are royalty today, people. But we are going for a very short commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. I am glad that you are still with us. I am your host, Sheila Nabafu, and we are proudly brought to you by Bukola Chemical Industries Limited and YPA for the expert opinion. Now, just before we went for our break, we were going to find out the agronomic practices after, a little class on photosynthesis. But we are going to learn, we're going to get to know the agronomic practices that could help us, almost mitigate this problem.
Interesting. So the agronomic practices that we are going to base on are going to be targeting a variety of weaknesses and also trying to distort the life cycles and cycles of this pest. So number one is going to be scouting. Many farmers take visiting their gardens as a luxury, and we enter inside the gardens and you're simply looking at how nice the leaves are looking like.
At a distance.
But yeah, that is not something you should be looking for. You should, whereas you can appreciate how beautiful your plant is and how nice and green the leaves may be, but your keen interest, especially tomato farmers who are doing other vegetables as well, like the peppers and the cabbage, take an interest in trying to identify what does not look ordinary on my plant.
Yeah.
And why you do that is to try and understand what are the potential issues that could be arising in my garden that I'm overlooking. And why scouting is very important in managing the tomato leaf miner is that the pest that I mentioned earlier, the rate at which it reproduces and grows, that after laying eggs, they are hatching in 2 to 3 days, and then that larvae is already active from the time it hatches up to when it pupates. And that could be about a week. So this pest has been known to create maximum damage in a space of just 3 days. Maximum damage. You could wake up today with a healthy field, go to sleep, go wherever you went for whatever event you wanted to go for. You come back after 3 days and your garden is gone. It's completely gone. And this is the significance of this pest, the pest at which it reproduces. Now, when we are scouting, you're going to try to look for the damages that it creates on the leaves. That sort of scar that the leaf remains with, whereby you're no longer seeing the green color inside the leaf, as if the surface of the leaf has a polythene on it, and then underneath it, it's just brownish, or sometimes you could see a bit of blackish residue in there. That is what you look for. And I can tell you for sure that the moment you see in an acre you identify 4 plants that have at least one leaf that is having those symptoms, it is time to act, my friend.
Yeah.
Why is it time to act? That by the time you see these symptoms, it means the moths have already placed eggs across the garden. And that means in the next 3 days, you're going to start seeing real damage. What you've seen on these 4 plants in 4 days is going to be across your entire garden. This is very important, and it allows us as farmers to be proactive. Now, one of the ways that we can try to control is that you can do hand picking. It's the most basic. As you're moving through the garden, try to prune off some of this damaged leaf, because each damaged leaf has a larvae inside it. And if you can cut it off, it's a contribution you've made. If you have workers who are doing the weeding, you can advise them, well, as you do the weeding, pluck off those leaves, put them in a bag, in a sack as you move through the garden. Why it's important to put them in a sack, it comes down to the disposal.
Yeah.
And what we call phytosanitation, the sanitation of your garden. Because when you prune something off this plant and you throw it there, in 3 days that larvae is going to come back onto that plant. Yeah. So you have not done anything. Yeah. But if you remove it and you go and dispose it rightly, like I was mentioned ahead, then you're doing a bit of control. The second level of control is going to be using the pheromone traps. Now, pheromone traps I am mostly used to monitor the population of the pest, the moths inside the garden. They can also contribute into reducing the amount of fertile eggs being deposited within the garden. They make a good contribution. Now, pheromone traps are good to utilize when you still have low to medium infestation of the pest. They do not really work well when you now have high infestation or high pest pressure. Now, when you're getting above the what we call the economic threshold levels, whereby at least more than 5% of your garden has been attacked by the pest and you can see visible symptoms on the leaves, we need to move into the arena of the insecticides. But it's a bit of a phased arena, and we have 2 solutions that we have come up with. The first solution is organic. It's an organic pesticide, which is called nimbecidine. Yeah. Now, nimbecidine mostly operates by repelling the moths and trying to reduce the amount of eggs being deposited in your garden. Now, a person who is using nimbecidine, you mix it at a dosage of 120 mils in 20 liters and you apply it in your garden. But it's more of a preventive solution. Yeah. Now, the more effective solution then comes down to the azoate. Azoate is going to target the larvae itself, plus the moths and the eggs. So how azoate is working, a farmer, you're going to mix it at 12 mils in 20 liter for that one who has a 16 liter sprayer, and then you mix it at 15 mils per 20 liter. And then you apply it in your garden. It is very important to apply during the early morning hours or the late evening hours, because remember, this is when the pest is most active. More active, yeah. So after making a treatment of azoate, you need to allow 24 hours before you get back into that garden. This is called the re-entry period. Yeah. It's very important, and why I'm mentioning it is because from many farmer visits I've made, these are some of the safe use precautions that farmers tend to ignore, and they say, ababa science. So basically that's it. So what we're also looking at is how does azoate then solve the problem? Because that's what our farmer is interested in. First and foremost, like I said, do the treatment early. When you see that your garden, 5% of it is showing symptoms of those damaged leaves, make a treatment of azoate, apply in your garden. So azoate is going to be able to seep into the leaf. Now, if we look back at one of the pest's strengths, is that it hides under the leaf. Now, we have developed azoate to basically turn that strength into a weakness, because when you apply azoate, it seeps into the leaf and moves vertically through the leaf. So azoate is something we consider as a transluminar systemic insecticide. Now it seeps through the leaf from the top side up to the bottom side, and any insect that has tried to burrow in is going to be affected from in there, and it stops to feed. So the moment azoate gets into contact with it, azoate can work on the insect, the tutor larva, through contact or by feeding. So even if azoate has passed through that green layer, the mesophyll layer I mentioned before, it will settle in there, and when the insect tries to feed on that layer, it is ingesting azoate. Now the moment it ingests azoate, it loses appetite basically. It stops to eat, and then it starves to death. And that's how azoate will work.
And from what we observed, while there is no such thing as 100% prevention, there is very significant reduction in pest damage and better overall crop condition on the treated section.
Many farmers start to panic to try and increase dosages and so on after the pest has started attacking the fruits. And that's why one critical stage you have to consider is that do the treatment early when the pest is still in the leaves. Because that is the phase that it thinks it's its strength, but then we have discovered that that is actually its greatest weakness, where we can target it well with azoate and eliminate it, basically reduce its concentrations and incidence inside the garden. Now, when it gets into the fruit, the best solution is to identify those fruits, pluck them off. Basically, this is where pruning comes in. So as you move through the field, prune off these fruits that have been damaged, because either way no buyer is going to take them. Even if you leave them there, they are going to take a lot of sugars, which sugars would have been redirected by the plant to create new flowers, which will give you healthier fruits. So you remove those damaged fruits, we are going to dispose them. Now, moving to the disposing phase. And this is another part that farmers are actually helping the pest to survive. So usually when we are finished with such a garden, we have done our harvesting, we are very happy that we have made some money. We go to relax. We leave this garden with all this tomato material. But remember, the pest is relying on these very tomato materials to reproduce, because it needs the tomato to complete its life cycle. So without a tomato, it does not complete the life cycle. So how do you control that? That's where agronomic practices like crop rotation are going to come in. That's where agronomic practices like proper disposal of the waste is going to come in. That's where agronomic practices like planting buffer crops. So what I mean by a buffer crop is you could use agroforestry. You come up with certain tree species like Sesbania species. It's a nitrogen fixing species. It's short, but it really grows vegetatively well, and it can feed livestock as well. But when you plant it in there along the boundaries, you're creating a bit of a barrier to sort of reduce the incidence and number of moths accessing your garden. When you come and after harvesting, you remove all these waste tomato materials, it's nice that you dig a hole somewhere, at least 4 feet deep, bury it in there, so that any moths, any eggs that have remained, any larvae that are pupating in there, they are really buried under below a foot of soil. They can't emerge. And guess what? You could come back, get that soil and reapply it in your garden to recycle a bit of those nutrients that might have been part of those tomatoes residues. So this is a combination of stuff that I think farmers need to adopt and to really use azoate to solve this problem. Now, moving into the arena of safe use, this is something that we have to talk about. What is the safe use of pesticides? So right here we are standing, and if we are to look at this flyer right here behind us, you can see it showing you where the wind is blowing. The wind is blowing uphill right here where we are. And then you find a farmer spraying, and his nozzle is in the direction where the wind is coming from. That means the pesticide is blowing back to you. And this is applying to all pesticide applications. Really, when you're doing treatment, you should be standing on the direction where the wind is coming from, so that any pesticide residue is going that side. Another important one is the height of the nozzle. So you're not going to start spraying when your nozzle is this high, because you're creating a lot of drift. And you also, it brings us to also the efficiency of the spray, because when you create a very huge gap between the target crop and the nozzle of the sprayer, it's allowing for a lot of drift.
Yeah.
That means also the spray is not targeting your crop well. And that is going to reduce the efficacy of the pesticide, but it is also going to then eventually trigger you to increase dosage, because you feel that, it's not working because of the spray height.
Yeah.
Now, there is also an optimal height that you use. You need to pick a height that is optimal, right about that. Because when you make it too close, then you have a lot of runoff.
Yeah.
That means the pesticide is not going to stick. And you're having a lot of wastage as well. So these are some of the things that we look at. Protection during pesticide use. Have a mask, have gloves, gumboots, and don't wear them our style. The overcoat goes over.
Yeah, exactly.
And all these precautions will help us be able to sustainably grow our crops and also use a variety of integrated pest methods, management methods, to actually control these pests.
So we've got the waste management, we have gotten how to spray, how to protect thyself and thy plants. Well, there's a lot to pick in there. Now today is all about the tomatoes, but for the goat enthusiasts, I have gotten a gift for you, because hey, I am the gift that keeps on giving. Now up next, we're going to have YPA give us a few tips here and there so that our goats can be, yummy and as many as his. So let's just drift into the expert opinion with YPA, and we'll be right back for our tomato people. Now, for farmers visiting the farm, this creates something far more convincing than theory. It becomes a live comparison, and one that allows them to see results for themselves, ask questions, and make informed decisions based on what is happening right in front of them.
Subira nti nyinza kubanga nanoze esawa nti bamasawa nga nnyo batano bamukaaga kubanga ku mace nnyo subira nti omusolo osigwa mungi nnyo omusolo sawa eddagala entaddeko kati olowooza omusolo ogwo gugwako sawa nga mmeka?
Kigenda kubeera kisinziira ekitundu ky'olimu. Waliwo omusana oluusi gye kukeera okuba nga kukola ki gwaka mangu, kitegeeza nti omusana gujja kuba gukola ki, omusolo gujja kuba gukala mangu. So sawa awo nga 3 ndowooza guba gukoze eki, gukendedde. Naye obudde buyinza okubeera nga bwakiddedde. Osobola okuba nga okola ki, ng'ovuira. Kasita oba ng'olaba nti enkota egenda kuba ng'ekola ki, ng'etonnya. Kyetwewala gwe musana omungi, kuba eddagala ligenda kuba terikola ki, terigenda kukola bulungi, togenda kufuna results ezo okola ki, zoyagala.
Ekyo tukikola buli luvannyuma lwa budde ki, kuba tugezese nga mba nfuuyidde ku lunaku leero nga lwa kutaano. Nina kuddamu ate mu kiseera ki okusobola okutaasa ennimiro eyo, oba kyanditutte budde ki okuddamu okufuuyira?
Kigenda kusinziira ku infestation engeri gy'erimu mu nnimiro yo, naye nga wandibadde oyisaawo ennaku 7 ate n'oddamu n'okola ki, n'ofuuyira. Yeyo enfuuyira ki entuufu.
Eddagala eryo eppya gambye lya bulabe nnyo eryakasa akawojjola ako ligenda kuba nga likola ku nnyaanya ezo zokka, oba waliwo ebirime bingi oyinza okwesanga oli nga alina ennyaanya n'ateekamu pepa n'ebiringa ebyo.
Tweyanziza nnyo, tweyanzeege okusinga twalireetedde obuzibu buno obwakasaanya akakola ki, akajojobeza nnyo abalimi b'ennyaanya. Kuba tugenze okulaba nti ennyaanya mu Uganda abantu emirimu bagenze bakola ki, bagivaamu olw'okuba obuzibu obwo bwakasaanya. Naye nga lisobola n'okukola ku birime ebirala eby'enjawulo era okuttayo obusaanyi obw'enjawulo, then n'obukola bwe tuyita bu thrips, bu aphids oba omuwempe n'obulala obugwa mu kkowa eryo. Naye ng'okusinga twaleese okujuna abalimi baffe ab'ekirime ekyennyanja.
Now, this training is helping farmers better understand the behavior, life cycle, and management of one of tomato farm's most destructive enemies.
Obulwadde buno buli bacteria. Faayo okulaba nga obwetangira. Actually nga tonnaba kulowooza ku ddagala, ngenda kukozesa ddagala ki? Okwetangira kwe kuba kukola ki? Kusooka era kusinga obukulu. Faayo okulaba nga ensigo gy'ogenda okusimba egumira endwadde ez'enjawulo. Then faayo okulaba nga amabanga g'okuba mu nnyaanya ge gagakoze eki? Agalagiddwa. Ate era obulwadde buno obuli bacteria si kirungi kuyita mu nnimiro yo ng'enkuba yakamala okutonnya oba nga ennimiro ekyali wet. Jjukira buli w'oyitamu bw'oti ogenda kuba gwennyini okola ki? Obwesaasaanyirize busobola okusaasaana.
So it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to actually see it. I tell you this all the time and all the time. Now, so when you're scouting your farm, there are particular things that you need to look for, certain signs and symptoms, and then, you seek medical advice. So Roy, the expert, is going to show us.
Basically, so we can see this is an older leaf. This is a leaf that is probably older than a week or two. And this is one of the signs that you're going to be scouting out for. So when you look at this leaf, you can clearly see the green, but then on this particular part, you're seeing a bit of a mine.
Yeah.
Basically, the under part of the leaf, the green area, was eaten out. And then you can see a bit of this black residue right here. So it's called frass, and it's basically the excreta of the caterpillar. And usually this caterpillar will be best inside here. So this leaf definitely is old. It had penetrated probably 2 weeks back, so it has already exited. It has pipetted. That's why you see the black. A picture that this is an infestation that already happened probably a month back, minimum 3 weeks back. So this is the importance of really doing the scouting and understanding it. That the infestation moves so fast, and if you do not try to suppress it with azoate, it's going to become a huge problem. Now we have another plot where the farmer was using his ordinary pesticides, and we are going to really see the level of the damage. It's really massive, because it really multiplies at a very fast rate, and then it really affects. Now the biggest interest for a farmer is to protect these guys right here, because this is where the money is. And you can really see that even if we see a bit of a damage on the leaves, earlier damage, on the fruits, you don't see any damage right there. So you're very sure that you're going to have a good yield. And we have this fruit that we picked from the upper garden. Probably we shall go and visit as well. So when you're scouting the fruits, you're looking out for a similar damage like that one. And this puncture is a proof that probably the caterpillar has already burrowed inside. Now, if these fruits are left in the garden just like that, they are going to basically come out as moths, and they will spread to other areas of the garden, starting the cycle again. So it's nice whenever you pick out, prune out such diseased fruits, bury them. Bury them. So that at least you reduce the inoculum, the source of the pest that is really distorting your garden. Inside the fruit, it's so protected that you can't basically reach it. The only way you can then try to control when it has reached the fruit is by losing the fruit. And even at that point, basically the fruit is already lost, because even if you harvest it, you can't sell it. It is wasted. All these losses are massive. This is a significant pest that we have to create awareness towards. And tomato farmers out there, I urge you to really be proactive in trying to solve this problem. Where we are moving on with the crop protection technology is to how do we create solutions that are really a bit more pest specific, and we try to leverage the characteristics of these pests. So azoate is very good at managing what we call lepidopteran pests, and those are the pests which are in the family of the moths. And Any pest that is going to be a caterpillar, try to feed on the leaf surface or chew on the leaf, Azoate will be targeting that pest.
Now, while on the farm, we noticed that 2 separate demonstration plots had deliberately been set up as a way to best demonstrate Bukola's concept of pest management vis-a-vis the farmer's usual methods. So one section is managed using Bukola's Azoate pesticide, while the other follows the more conventional methods commonly used by many farmers. Now, the goal here is not to claim that pests completely disappear. Well, that would be unrealistic. The idea is to practically demonstrate the difference that proper crop protection can make over time. In this case, it's the power of Azoate. The weeds are really...
Yeah, this is black jack.
Yeah, but
And
if you had him,
one of the
that
most
would be amazing.
aggressive weeds around.
Yes.
It really disturbs any crop. How it is dominating the weed right here.
But at least people get rid of it. We visited a farm with you. It's such a smart. From the moment you step onto this other farm, it's a ghost town, people. The feng shui, you can actually see the leaves. I could be an expert here, people. Bukola should hire me just to tell this person this is not working. I looked at that. I could have your job just just explaining that leaf.
So basically, what we are looking at here is another control part of the use of Azoate. Now, this part we did not use Azoate, and we can really see the impact of agronomic practices and timing and choice of the insecticide that you get to use. So we can see maximum damage right here. Even in the younger leaves, they are all infested by the pest. You can really see that this tomato plant is exceeding even 50%. So if you look at this plant, more than 50% of it is already affected by the insect. And basically in such a situation, this is already a huge loss, because then you're not going to have new foliage growing, you're not going to have new flowers developing, and it is a massive loss for the farmer. And then when you look at the fruits, just right there, you can see all the damages on them, the holes on it, they are all damaged, and surely this now is a loss, basically. And to really bring out the image of what I was mentioning earlier about trying to remove the old material, if we look up on our opposite side, you can really see that there is an old field of tomatoes just adjacent to the newer one that we planted. Now, a lot of the pests that had overwintered and survived in that field, upon pupating, it simply crossed to the new field, and then the attack level is significantly higher. This then triggers a farmer to increase the amount of pesticides that they have to use and the routine. And yet, had you tried to do a bit of rotation, a bit of buffer crops in between, you try to reduce the influx of the pest that is entering the new field. And really, this is evident of how much Azoate can create in terms of a difference between plots. And mind you, the very interesting thing, someone can think that this is a damage of like a month old. This is 1 week. This is 1 week's damage. And this is what has happened in a space of
5 days.
5 days. And that's the trouble of this pest, that it is so aggressive, it is so hungry, if I would put it, and this is how much it can do to you if you do not try to manage it better. And as Bukola, we are bringing this to the Ugandan farmer and even farmers beyond in Tanzania, Kenya, and the rest of Africa. Azoate coupled with nimbecidine as a repellent for the moths, and also the integrated pest management methods that we have shared today is going to help us curb this pest and basically try to contain it, reduce it, and we really make a promise that we are going to continue doing our best to continue researching, to continue finding ways of improving the lives and yields of our farmers.
Yes, my lovely viewer here at NTV, my name is Obed Ben, of course the Managing Director of Youth Platform Africa, the #1 goat farmer in East Africa. Here with the tips, of course today I want to show you how can you have eyes on ground even when you're in the US. Cameras are not security weapons. Cameras are not security systems. Cameras help us see what is happening in our observation. How do we monitor what is happening? How do we see the routine of the things that are supposed to be happening every day? Routine checkups cannot be done or solely dependent on supervisors, because supervisors are human beings who can be compromised. But did you know that a camera on ground cannot be compromised? It will see, especially if it has a control room and someone is there 24/7 to just watch over what these supervisors are doing, what the managers are doing, what the workers are doing, and this will help us keep the standards. Because when a supervisor comes, they will see we are supposed to do A, B, C, D, Y, and X. So they go ticking. But what if they just come and tick because they're tired? So I will see what time did they come? Did they exactly check? Did I see anyone sweep? If they are cleaning, if they are ticking on cleaning, for example, did I see anyone tick on cleaning? Did I see a cleaner actually clean the goat pen? So cameras help us see what happens at what time and by who. This in that way helps us grow a standard for a sustainable period. Youth Platform Africa. You can visit us on our website. You can visit us on our social media. You'll get more of these free information tips that will help you grow your business, especially the agribusiness world. Let me tell you, you may not need a lawyer today. You may not need a doctor. You may not need a tax advisor, but you'll need a farmer 3 times a day. So as you plan a lot of things, plan to do agribusiness. Just get the information. It will be like Matia Kasaija's financial status.
That's all we had for you today. Keep those comments coming in. #NTV Seeds of Gold. I've been Sheila Nabafu, proudly sponsored by Bukola Chemical Industries Limited. Don't go away. Do not touch that dial, because we have Weekend Edition coming to you. Have a good night.